The deadly charade. In the heart of the city, the annual gala hosted by the illustrious Henderson family was a highly anticipated event. The Hendersons, one of the wealthiest and most influential families in town, spared no expense in organizing the grand affair. The opulent mansion, adorned with twinkling lights and elegant decorations, was a spectacle to behold. The guest list was a who's who of society's elite, including politicians, business tycoons, and celebrities. Among them was the charming and charismatic Victor Johnson, a renowned philanthropist and close friend of the Henderson family. Victor was a master at charming everyone he met, always wearing a genuine smile that hid a web of secrets. As the evening progressed, the guests reveled in the extravagant festivities. Champagne flowed freely, and laughter filled the air. But the merriment was short-lived when the lifeless body of a young woman was discovered floating in the pool. The victim was Amanda Turner, a talented young artist and a rising star in the art world. Her vibrant and captivating paintings had gained her recognition and admiration. Her sudden death shocked everyone at the gala, and a hushed silence fell over the once jubilant crowd. Detective Olivia Martinez, a seasoned investigator known for her sharp intuition, was called to the scene. The tension in the air was palpable as she began to investigate the apparent drowning. As Detective Martinez combed through the crime scene, she couldn't help but feel that something was amiss. The circumstances surrounding Amanda's death were suspicious. She was a skilled swimmer, and no one had seen her near the pool during the evening. The detective sensed that this was no accident. One person, in particular, caught her attention: Victor Johnson. His reaction to Amanda's death seemed calculated and devoid of genuine grief. Detective Martinez noticed the way he meticulously orchestrated his emotions, raising red flags about his involvement in the tragedy. As the investigation continued, Detective Martinez delved into Victor's background, uncovering a trail of deceit and manipulation. Victor had built a reputation as a generous philanthropist, but there were rumors of shady business dealings and questionable financial transactions. Behind closed doors, Victor's true colors emerged. He was known for preying on vulnerable women, charming them into relationships, only to leave them heartbroken and financially ruined. Some whispered of his involvement in the art world, using his influence to manipulate and exploit young artists like Amanda. Detective Martinez reached out to Amanda's friends and family, hoping to gain more insight into her life and her connection to Victor. They revealed that Amanda had recently become involved with Victor, and her art had suddenly become more successful after their alleged partnership. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, a sinister picture emerged. Amanda's friends shared disturbing accounts of how she had become increasingly isolated and anxious under Victor's influence. They were convinced that Victor was using her art as a front for some nefarious operation, but they had no concrete evidence. Detective Martinez knew that to build a case against Victor, she needed solid evidence. With the help of Amanda's friends, she orchestrated a sting operation. They would lure Victor into believing that Amanda had left behind incriminating evidence about his illegal activities. The plan worked like a charm. Victor, convinced that he was in the clear, took the bait and made a grave mistake. He fell right into the trap, revealing damning evidence on tape about his involvement in various criminal enterprises. Armed with the recorded evidence, Detective Martinez arrested Victor Johnson, charging him with murder and numerous other crimes. The courtroom was filled with tension as the trial unfolded. Victor, the master manipulator, tried to put on his usual charm, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. During the trial, Amanda's friends bravely testified about Victor's manipulation and his dark side, shedding light on the true nature of the charming philanthropist. The jury saw through Victor's facade, delivering a unanimous guilty verdict on all counts. Victor was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Justice was served for Amanda and the other women he had exploited. The revelation of his involvement in Amanda's death brought some closure to her grieving family and friends. As Detective Martinez reflected on the case, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. She knew that there were still unanswered questions and pieces of the puzzle that didn't quite fit together. Determined to uncover the truth, she continued her investigation into Victor Johnson's past. Through her meticulous research, she discovered a pattern of mysterious deaths surrounding Victor. Over the years, several women he had been romantically involved with had died under suspicious circumstances. They were all ruled as accidents or suicides, but now Detective Martinez couldn't ignore the disturbing coincidence. As Detective Martinez dug deeper into Victor's past, she faced numerous challenges. Many of the cases were years old, and evidence had been lost or destroyed. Witnesses had disappeared, and some were reluctant to come forward due to fear or intimidation. Undeterred, Detective Martinez persisted. She enlisted the help of forensic experts to re-examine the old evidence and enlisted the aid of retired law enforcement officers who had worked on the previous cases. Together, they began to piece together a clearer picture of Victor's dark history. The reopened cases revealed a disturbing pattern. Each of the women who had been involved with Victor had met untimely ends, often just after they had broken off the relationship. Some had died in apparent accidents, while others were found dead by apparent suicide. Yet, there was a consistent thread connecting them all to Victor. Detective Martinez couldn't shake the feeling that she was dealing with a serial killer, a predator who had been lurking in plain sight, hiding behind a charismatic facade. But proving this theory would be challenging, as the evidence was circumstantial, and many of the original investigations had been compromised. As Detective Martinez continued her pursuit of the truth, she received a breakthrough. One of Victor's former associates came forward, claiming to have vital information about his involvement in the deaths. The associate, a disgruntled former employee of Victor's charitable foundation, was willing to testify against him in exchange for immunity. The associate revealed that Victor had been involved in a secret criminal network, using his philanthropy as a cover for illegal activities. He had connections to powerful individuals who protected him from scrutiny, ensuring that any investigations into his wrongdoings were quickly silenced. With the testimony from the former associate, Detective Martinez finally had the evidence she needed to tie Victor to the deaths of the women in his life. The puzzle pieces fell into place, and a clearer picture of the cunning and manipulative serial killer emerged. Armed with this new evidence, Detective Martinez reopened the previous cases and pushed for justice for the victims. With the weight of multiple murder charges hanging over him, Victor had no choice but to confess to his crimes. Victor Johnson's trial became a media sensation, exposing the dark underbelly of the city's elite society. The charismatic philanthropist, once celebrated for his generosity, was now revealed as a cold-blooded serial killer. The families of the victims finally found closure, knowing that the man who had destroyed their lives would spend the rest of his days behind bars. Detective Olivia Martinez's dedication and determination had unraveled the deadly charade that Victor Johnson had hidden behind for so long. Her relentless pursuit of justice had brought a notorious killer to his knees and had ensured that his victims' voices were heard. As the city recovered from the shock of the case, Detective Martinez continued to fight for justice, knowing that there were other predators hiding in the shadows. The deadly charade might have been shattered, but the pursuit of truth and justice would never end.